On a bright summer day, a grasshopper was leaping around in a meadow, singing and chirping for joy. Along came an ant, weighted down by a large ear of corn he was carrying to the anthill. "Why don't you stop and sing with me?" the grasshopper said, "instead of struggling and straining like that." "I am gathering food for the winter," said the ant, "and I suggest that you do so as well." "Who cares about winter?" the grasshopper said. "Today there's plenty to eat." But the ant continued on with his toil. Then the winter came. Soon the grasshopper was dying of hunger, for he had no food. Yet day after day he watched the ants feasting on their summer stores of grain and corn. Too late, the grasshopper realized it is best to prepare for times of necessity. Surely you know that a town mouse once went to the country to visit his cousin. This rustic cousin was rather coarse and common, but he happily welcomed his dear friend from town. Beans and rice, bread and cheese were all the country mouse had to share. But he offered them freely. The town mouse looked down his long nose at the simple meal before him and said, "Dear cousin, I do not understand how you tolerate such plain food as this. But naturally, there is nothing else to eat in the country. Come to town with me and I will show you the good life. Soon you will wonder how you could ever have been content in the country." Straight away, the two mice set out for town. Arriving at the town mouse's estate in the middle of the night. "Let us dine after our travels," said the courteous town mouse. And he led his cousin to a spacious dining hall. There they discovered the leftovers of a grand banquet. And soon the two mice were feasting on pastries and sweetmeats and all manner of good things. Suddenly, there was growling and barking. "What is that sound?" the country mouse asked. "It is just the dogs who live here," his cousin replied. "Dogs?" the country mouse exclaimed. "That is not a pleasant song with dinner." Suddenly the door burst open. In ran two enormous wolfhounds, and the two mice had to scamper away to safety. "Farewell, dear cousin," the country mouse said. "Oh, must you leave so soon?" said the other. "Yes," he replied. "A simple meal in peace is better than a rich feast in fear." Once, the hare was bragging to the other animals about how quickly he could run. "Never have I been beaten," he said, "when I run at my top speed. I hereby challenge any one of you to a race." The tortoise quietly spoke up. "I accept your challenge." "What a joke!" the hare laughed. "I could run circles around you the whole way." "Do not brag until you've won," the tortoise answered. "Let's just race." So they agreed on a course, and the race began. Immediately, the hare sprinted away over hill and dale, clean out of sight. But soon, out of scorn for the tortoise, the hare stopped and lay down to take a nap. Now the tortoise plodded along and plodded along. Eventually, the hare woke from his nap and saw the tortoise near the finish line, but the hare could not run fast enough to overtake him. So the tortoise declared, "Slow and steady wins the race." The wind and the sun were quarreling over which of them was stronger. All at once they saw a traveler approaching. The sun said, "Here is a way to settle our dispute. Whichever of us can make that traveler remove his coat shall be considered the stronger. You first." The sun hid himself behind a cloud, while the wind blew with all his might upon the traveler. But with each gust he blew, the traveler wrapped his coat around himself even more tightly. Finally, the wind gave up in despair. So the sun came out, beaming in radiant splendor upon the traveler, who was soon so hot that he removed his coat. Kindness is more effective than severity. One time a lion was sleeping. When a mouse began skipping about on top of him. Sure enough, the lion awoke. He caught the little mouse in his giant paw and opened his enormous mouth to eat him alive. "Forgive me, Your Majesty," cried the little mouse. If you would pardon me this once, I shall always remember it. And who knows, maybe I can return the favor someday. The lion roared with laughter to think that the little mouse would ever be able to help him. And he opened his paw and set the mouse free. Sometime later, the lion was captured by hunters who wanted to sell him to the circus. They tied him to a tree and went to find a cart on which to carry him. About then, the little mouse was passing by, and he saw the lion's sad predicament. So the mouse scampered up and quickly chewed through the ropes binding the king of beasts. The lion was free! What did I tell you? The little mouse said. A little friend can be a great friend.